welcome to this episode of Let's Talk 716 Sports. Today, my special guest is Joe, and we will be talking some Bills football. What did you think of the Bills this past season?
I mean, overall, you have to be impressed with the Buffalo Bills, how they did, going 13-3. Very few people saw that coming. Definitely a step forward for our offense. Brian Dable, Josh Allen. Our running game obviously is one thing that people will question going into this season. But it seems like the Buffalo Bills front office is okay with it the way it is, keeping the offensive line, keeping the same running back tandem. So we'll see how that improves. Tight end would be another issue. But overall, I mean, our offense put up historic numbers, 501 points, which is the most in Buffalo Bills history. Our rookie kicker broke rookie records for the Buffalo Bills, made the longest postseason kick ever for a rookie kicker. So you have to be happy about that. Our defense is still something that you wish you can get back to form from a few years ago. But still, you have the big name pieces there with Edmonds and White and even Poyer and Hyde back there. So it was a really great season. Fell just 2 wins short of the Super Bowl, and that's okay. Sometimes, if you had told me at the beginning of the season we would have been in the AFC Championship game, I would have been ecstatic. So first Bills home win since '95, and so many things to be excited about if you're a Bills fan.
What did you think of our defense last season?
Our defense, you could still tell how important of a piece Matt Milano is to our defense. When he went down, definitely changed some things for our defense. And when he came back, you could still see how much impact he had for this team. AJ Klein got off to a slow start. We saw him come into his own. You wish you would have seen more from AJ Epineza, our second round draft pick from last season, from the 2020 NFL draft. Didn't get a lot of time. In fact, week 1, he was inactive, but he eventually beat out Trent Murphy for a roster spot. So that's encouraging. But overall, our defense needs to improve. I find it funny. I hear so many Bills fans talking about what they want to see on this offense to improve this offense, including most recently the Julio Jones rumors and things like that. When, like I said before, our offense was historically great. It was our defense that we really need to pick it up. And I feel like, and we'll talk about this maybe a little later, but I feel like Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills front office did that in the 2021 NFL draft. So I was. The defense definitely left some meat on the bone. Need to get pressure on the quarterback more consistently. Need to get CB2 consistent play out of that. But I think that Matt Milano coming back hopefully for a full season definitely adds an element that I'm excited about.
How do you think the Bills can make their offense better for the upcoming season?
The offense, like I said, the offense 501 points, most in Bills history in 2020. A few tweaks here and there probably. Continuity on the offensive line is going to be a great help for Josh Allen. Hopefully they can stay healthy. We always have to worry about Mitch Morse with his health, with his history of concussions. That has to be something of a concern. Cody Ford, how's he going to be when he comes back? So again, that continuity in the offensive line will be a huge help. But the biggest thing that we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to be able to run the ball more consistently and not with Josh Allen. Last season was one of the people still screaming that Singletary and Moss can get the job done. I still believe that Singletary and Moss can get the job done. There are a lot of talk about meat left on the bone for this defense. There were a lot of running plays. There were a lot of run pass options, or where Josh Allen kept it, where he could have handed off, and you saw holes where the running back could have made some moves, made a play, maybe get a 20-plus yard run out of it. And for some reason, Josh Allen kept it. So as far as improvement goes, I want to see Josh Allen's decision making get a little bit better. And it's hard to say that with how great of a season he had, second in MVP voting, but he needs to be able to read that better. He needs to be able to make those decisions quicker, and also just have Moss and Singletary be able to find open space and get the carries they need to really make an impact in the game.
How do you think the Bills could improve on the run game this upcoming season?
The best way to improve on the run game is an offensive line, right? I feel like our offensive line did very well against the pass, doing pass protection last season. I would say they were above average in that category. They did struggle when it came to running the ball, but that, again, Brandon Beane and the front office didn't seem to think so, or they're not worried about it, considering the fact we re-signed or kept all of our offensive linemen from last season, at least our starting five. So they're not worried about that much. Obviously, they see something that maybe Bills fans don't. Also have to take into consideration that Brian Daboll is a 70-30 guy. He passes the ball 70% of the time, runs the ball 30% of the time. So if you're better at protection and passing, where you're spending 70% of your plays, I mean, that's where you want the protection to lean towards anyway. But in order to get better in the run game, again, Josh Allen needs to make better decisions. He needs to be able to be okay with giving the ball off to Moss or Singletary and trusting them to do their thing. And let's not forget about Matt Breida, who we picked up in the offseason. That could be a huge addition for us as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the kid from North Carolina, I think Williams, who made an appearance week 17 last year. I won't be surprised if maybe he turned some heads and at least stayed on the practice squad for the Buffalo Bills. I think we got a good running back core. And again, I think Matt Breida is a great addition. And I think that's just going to help this running game out a lot. But I do want to see our running backs take more of those carries and limit Josh Allen. So that way Josh Allen does not, tempt fate and get injured or, take those big hits. We saw him get injured last year against the Las Vegas Raiders. We saw him get injured last year against the Chargers, I believe it was as well. So those are things he needs to be careful of. But I think our running game definitely could get the job done.
Do you think that, like, with all these Julio Jones rumors, do you think he'll end up in Buffalo, or do you think he'll end up somewhere else?
I just hope he doesn't end up in the AFC East. I do not think he'll end up with the Buffalo Bills. You talk about compensation to the Atlanta Falcons. What are we willing to give up? I don't know what that looks like. Jerry Hughes would have to be one of those pieces, and I'm not sure if that's one we're willing to give up. Some other names that are possibilities would be Cole Beasley. You willing to give up Cole Beasley? Cole Beasley just played on a broken leg during the playoffs for you. Is that someone you're willing to give up? Does he fit our system? And what I mean by that is, everyone talks about how great Julio Jones is, and he is. He's an amazing wide receiver. But we had the number one wide receiver in the league last year, and that's a guy who 2 years ago wanted out of Minnesota. And one of the reasons why he wanted out of Minnesota is because he was sick of being the number two guy behind Adam Thielen. He wanted to be the number one guy. So now it proves he's number one, and you're going to bring in Julio Jones, who's been a number one his whole career. Are we sure Julio Jones is just going to take a back seat and be okay with being the number two guy? And if he's not, what does that mean for the locker room? I don't want to see Julio Jones on the Buffalo Bills. I think that, if you were talking just statistics, yeah, he outs out this team. But at the end of the day, Coach McDermott does have, a system in place, and he does have that locker room in check, and that's very important. But again, I do not want to see him go to the AFC East, the Patriots, the Dolphins, even the Jets. I do not want to see him there because he is that talented, but I do not see him in Buffalo.
Do you think, like, the Bills would get the tight end Zach Ertz from Philadelphia?
That's something that's been very interesting for a long time. Even last season, during the season, Bills fans were talking about Zach Ertz. If we got Zach Ertz, it wouldn't be till June 1st, which is only a few days away, depending when people are hearing this. But yeah, I think that that's a very interesting name. I think that, you have Dawson Knox there, who still, to me, Dawson Knox definitely still has the potential to be a really good number one, maybe middle pack type number one type guy. We heard last year during the offseason, he was practicing with Kittle. He was doing the work. He was getting the work done he needed to improve his game. And there's no doubt he's doing that again this offseason. I think, he gets his hands in check and is able to catch more consistently. I think that we have a very strong tight end one. And if we bring someone like Zach Ertz and Dawson Knox moves to tight end two, obviously that makes this offense even more explosive, even more dynamic. I think Zach Ertz will not be in Philadelphia next year. And I think two teams that you really have to look at are the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills. Those are the two teams where I think he has a chance to go. So if that's true, then I think he has a 50-50 shot come to Buffalo, and I'd love to see it.
What was your favorite or least favorite draft pick from this year?
I am going to go a different route than most people when I say my favorite. My favorite was our second round pick, Carlos Basham, and that's even with the Buffalo Bills taking a defensive end in the first round. I think that defensive end was a huge point of emphasis for Brandon Beane and this Buffalo Bills defense, and they addressed that. And so, everyone who was talking about, oh, we need a cornerback, and you can love or hate Levi Wallace, it is what it is at CB2, but a good way to address the cornerback position without getting a cornerback is getting defensive ends, is getting pass rush on the quarterback, because that makes them have to move quicker, make quicker decisions. And that means that those cornerbacks can step up and press instead of sitting 5-6 yards back. So I think that in itself might help out Levi Wallace as a CB2. So Carlos Basham to me was my favorite pick. You talk about the defensive end rotation. You talk about the fact that both Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison are on a contract year. So I think we're going to see a little bit more out of AJ Epineza this season. And then you still have that rotation of 4 or 5 defensive ends. I think that was a great pick. That was my favorite pick by the Buffalo Bills, by Brandon Beane. And that was Brandon Beane telling the Bills Mafia, telling Bills fans all over the place, like, this is what we're going to do. This needs to be addressed, and we're going to address it. So I was very excited about that. As far as my least favorite draft pick, I'd have to go into I believe it was the 6th round, where the Buffalo Bills picked up wide receiver Marquez Stevenson. I like Marquez Stevenson out of Houston, but if you look at the 2 picks right after that, 2 more wide receivers in Shi Smith and I think Racy McMathis or something like that, who is in at 6'2.5". Racy McMath, I'm sorry, out of LSU. So we talk about the Buffalo Bills wide receivers. Size has been an issue for a long time. We get a guy who's 5'10", 5'11", and Marquez Stevenson. Pass on a guy who 6'2.5", has special teams capabilities. Maybe didn't put up the greatest numbers at LSU. But I liked him a lot in the 6th round, especially because he definitely is a project. But I thought he was a potential pick for the Buffalo Bills. Get Marcus Stevenson, that's fine. I'm really nitpicking because I really loved the Bills draft this season. So I have no real bones to pick with Brandon Beane about how well I did in this draft.
Do you have any questions for me?
Absolutely. So what do you think about the 17-game schedule?
I like that the Bills and like the NFL had 17 games this upcoming season for like the fans to watch on TV or like be in the stands for those games.
Yeah, and the Bills even get the extra home game this year, so that's exciting. Do you have is it too early for you? And it might be, it's too early for me, but do you have a record prediction going into this season?
I think maybe like 14 and like 4 or something.
Yeah, Sounds good enough for me. That's good enough to win the AFC East. And my last question for you will be, do you think this season is Super Bowl or bust? Like, do you think the only way we have a good season is if we win the Super Bowl?
I think that like if they make it like to the championship game again this year,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be like winning the Super Bowl for the Bills.
Sure, sure. AFC Championship game, nothing wrong with that. Final Four. So, yeah, that's all the questions I had for you. So, again, uh, guys, thank you so much for having me on here. I always appreciate talking Buffalo Bills football. If you have any extra time or ever want to talk more Bills football, then please let me know.
And where can like my viewers
Hmm.
find you?
Sure. So right now, in a little bit of a transition, but I'm very excited about it. So first of all, my channel, Billeivers Talk, is still up on YouTube. I'll still be posting content on there. But right now, I am in the talks with another Buffalo Bills YouTube channel, hashtag Sports, who many of you probably have heard of as well. They do a great job. And so I'll be collaborating with them a lot. I'll still be doing my live player reaction videos during the season. So make sure you check those out. And just having a good time. Always talking Buffalo Bills. I'm on Twitter at Billeivers Talk. We'll be on TikTok over at hashtag Sports, Instagram Billeivers Talk. So plenty of places you can find us. We're all over the place. This is Bills Mafia. It's one big happy family. So very excited to be a part of that.
Thank you for watching this episode of Let's Talk 716 Sports. Thank you to my guest Joe, and go Bills.